Hi student, how are you? I think all of you are fine and all of you are staying at home. And I think this is the best time for self preparation. Okay. Now today I will discuss about the rest part of the inverse Z transform. In my previous lecture I have shared with you about the inverse Z transform, where I have shown you how to perform inverse Z transform using residue method, or you can say this using a Cauchy integral method. Now this is the next part of inverse Z transform. Today I will show you how to perform inverse Z transform using partial fraction method. Okay, I think all of you know how to perform the partial fraction, because already you have done partial fraction in mathematics in your 11-12 class, also in maths classes. I think it is in first year. Okay. Now, so suppose this is the question that you have to find the inverse Z transform and this function is given, also with ROC is attached here. Now you have to use the partial fraction method. How is it applicable here? Okay. Again I am saying that to perform inverse Z transform, two things you have to remember, that after Z transform you have to check that if the signal, that is result of inverse Z transform, is causal or non-causal. If it is causal, then you have to multiply the sequence with un, and if it is non-causal, then you have to multiply the result with what? With minus u of within bracket minus n minus 1. Okay. So now, so xz is equal to this is given. Now see here, in numerator part and denominator part there are some inverse part. Okay, now you can simplify this function by multiplying z cube, by multiplying z cube in numerator part as well as denominator part. Now you can ask me why I choose z cube, why not z, why not z square. Actually I have seen that here highest power of z, what is the highest power of z in denominator part? Here the highest power of z in denominator part is z to the power minus 3, and in case of numerator part the highest part of z is z to the power minus 2. That means if you want to eliminate this inverse, then you have obviously you have to multiply this with z cube in numerator part, also in denominator part, because you cannot choose different for numerator part and for denominator part. You have to choose same variable. That's why both can be neglected. Okay. That means if you multiply here z cube at denominator part, also in numerator part, so z cube by z cube, that means 1. That means there is no effect in the original function. So that's why here I have choose z cube to eliminate this inverse part. Okay. Now if you multiply z cube with denominator part, then what happens? So it will become z minus half. Okay, one z will be multiplied with this, next z will be multiplied with this, and next z will be multiplied with this, because in denominator part you have 3 factor. That means 1 by 1. So z, z, z like this, that means z cube. So this will become this, and if you multiply z cube with the numerator part, then it will become what? Z cube minus z to the power minus 2 plus z, like this. Okay. Now this is your expression. Now if we take common z from here numerator part, then it will become what? Z square minus z plus 1. So if you take z common and put this z in the this side, you can easily write this. So xz by z, this equal to this. This is your ultimate expression. Now according to partial fraction rule, what happens? According to partial fraction rules, again this expression can be written as a by first part plus b by second part plus c by third part. That means if you have third factor in the denominator part, then according to partial fraction method you can write this expression like a by first factor plus b by second factor plus c by third factor. one thing here, no pole is multiple pole. That means in residue problem I have shown you two different types of problem. First problem there was simple function, and the second problem you have multiple pole. In case of multiple pole you have to change your residue just residue rule slightly. Similarly, if you have multiple pole here, then you have to change your formula. In next problem I will show you. Okay, so this again, what is the rule for partial fraction? I think all of you know this, though I have explained all the things here. That is you have to calculate the value of ABC. After that, if you put the value ABC, then you can analysis this function. Okay, now how can you say that what is the value of A, or what is the value of B, what is the value of C? For this, the rule is in this above expression. That means this can be written as this. Now if you take this part, that means this denominator part will be multiplied with A, with B, with C, like this, and after minimizing this you can write this 1 minus z plus z square is equal to this expression. Okay, now in the above expression you have to calculate the value of A, B, C. Now if you want to calculate the value of A, B, C, now choose. Suppose if you put B is equal to suppose in this expression if you choose z is equal to 1, see z is equal to 1. Why I choose z is equal to 1? See here, if we choose z is equal to 1, that means 1 minus 1 0. If you multiply 0 with something, that means your overall result will be 0. That means at a time you cannot calculate the three variable. You have to calculate the value of variable one by one. That's why you have to neglect the other variable. But how can you neglect this other variable? By multiplying with 0. Now you have to search what value of z you have to choose. For that overall value becomes 0. Now if I choose z is equal to 1, that means B becomes 0. Now if I choose z is equal to 1, that means A becomes 0. That means only this C part will be left, because here there is no function z minus 1. That means this function will be not nullified. That means now you have this z function and this C. From this you can easily, if you put z is equal to 1, you can easily calculate the value of C. So in this way, what is the value of C? C is equal to minus 2. Now same process. Now suppose you have chosen that z is equal to 2. Now see here, one function, that is z minus 2. Here also one function z minus 2. That means if you choose z is equal to 2 for this function, A part and C part will be 0. Only left B part. That means B part is equal to this, and if you put z is equal to 2, then you get B is equal to what? B is equal to 2. Same process. Next choose z is equal to half. If you choose z is equal to half, that means B will be nullified, C will be nullified. What function will be left? What? A. That means by this you can easily calculate the value of A. So calculating this, you can say A is equal to 1. So this is all about partial fraction method. This is not the procedure for z to perform the inverse z transform. Here you have to perform inverse z transform using partial fraction method. That means first you have to know the mathematical process to perform the partial fraction. That is I am saying here. Okay. Now put the value of A, B, C in this expression. Which expression? This expression. Now if you put the value of A, B, C in this expression, now this expression will become what? This expression will become like this. See, you can see. Okay. Okay. Again this part is equal to what? Xz by z. So xz by z is equal to this. Okay. Now xz is equal to what? Z by z minus half. 2 is constant, z by z minus 2 minus 2 into z by z minus 1. Now what will be your xn? Your xn will be this. How can you say this is the value of xn? Now for this I will show you a chart. Okay, remember this chart. Here you have some function. Okay, then z transform. Okay, now suppose you have delta n function. Suppose I am asking you that what is the z transform of delta n. So you have to calculate this. No, always z transform of delta n is equal to what? Z transform of delta n is equal to 1. From where you get this? you get this just using the definition of Z transform. So what is the definition of Z transform? I think all of you know. The definition of Z transform is n is equal to what? Minus infinity to plus infinity, your function x n z to the power minus n. I have shown you in my previous lecture, so go through this. Okay. So now if you put delta n here xn, now if you calculate this value from this expression, now the value will become 1. How can you get this? Now if you put delta n here, first tell me what is delta n. So delta n is just basically a what? This is a impulse function. Now when this impulse function is valid, this impulse function valid for only one value. What value? If n is equal to 0, because we all know delta 0 is equal to 1. Now if delta 0 is equal to 1, that means you have to choose n equal to 0. So if you have 1 point, so for 1 point summation does not exist. Again, if you put z to the power n minus n, if the value of n is equal to 0, then it will become z to the power 0. So z to the power 0 means what? 1. 1 into 1, that means 1. That means your result is 1. Okay, got my point? And what is the ROC? ROC will be entire Z plane. Okay. Now, so remember this table. Okay. So if you can remember this table, then you don't need to calculate every time to find out the inverse Z transform. Because see, in case of Z transform, from a longer function, you can minimize this function in a shortest one. Now from that shortest one, you have to choose what will be the xn. That's why I'm telling you. Okay, so delta n is equal to 1. That means if you perform Z transform of delta n, your result will be 1. Similarly, if you have delta n minus k, this is a shifted impulse. So its Z transform will be Z to the power minus k. How can you get the same process? Just check this using this definition of Z transform. Now delta n plus k, what will be the Z transform? Z to the power k. So this type of question may come in your multiple choice question. Okay. Now suppose un, if un function, then that means if you have z by z minus 1, and if you want to perform inverse Z transform, your result will be what? Only un. Suppose you have z by z minus 1 whole square. So what will be your time domain function? Your time domain function will be n into un. So again, this is the differentiation property of Z transform. If you see the statement of differentiation property of Z transform, then you can see this. Again, you can prove this by using this formula. Okay. Now, a to the power n un. So what is the Z transform? Z by z minus a. That means if you have the function like this, z by z minus a, so your time domain function will be a to the power n un. Suppose you have z by z minus 5. Listen carefully. Z by z minus 5. That means the value of a is equal to what? 5. So what will be your time domain function? Your function will be 5 to the power n un. Suppose this is z by z plus a. Z by z plus a. Then what will be your function? Your function is minus a whole to the power n un. So got my point? Similarly, suppose you have u of minus n, so it is 1 by 1 minus z. And again last one, that is suppose you have az z minus a whole square. That means your function is n into a to the power n un. So I think also ROC is also attached here. So I think if you can remember this table, so you can perform inverse Z transform easily. Now come to the problem. So this is your answer. So xz is equal to this. Now from this, if we want to calculate that what is the result of inverse Z transform, see, z by z, first you have to check this function is causal or non-causal, because ROC is attached here. What is your ROC? Here ROC says ROC mod z less than 1 greater than 2. That means ROC have the region having radius 1 to 2. Now if I draw the ROC here, see, if I draw ROC here, let me draw. That means you have to consider two circles having radius 1, and this is another circle having radius 2. Okay, so this is 1 and this is 2. Okay, this is 1 and this is 2. And what is your ROC? ROC says greater than 1, less than 2. That means your ROC will be this portion. Which portion? So this. Again I am saying this is 1 and this radius is 2. Okay, so your ROC is lies between 1 and 2. So this is your ROC. Okay, this is given to you. Now let me check that the signal which you get, that is causal or non-causal. First, this is your first function, z by z minus half. That means what is the value of pole? Your pole value is z is equal to half. Your pole value is z is equal to now half. Now if you consider a circle having radius half, that means which? That means like this is your half radius. Now your given ROC is interior of this circle or exterior of this circle. So this is your ROC having radius half. So this one. This portion is half. Now your given ROC is exterior of a circle having radius half. That means this is a causal or non-causal? This is a causal sequence. Okay, that means you have to multiply with un. Now what is the inverse z transform? Now z by, what is your function? If you have a to the power n, your result will be z by z minus a. That means what is the value of a? Here a is equal to half. That means if you perform inverse z transform of this function, then your result will be half to the power n, u of n. Next, come to the next part. Here 2 is constant again. Z by z minus 2. That means what is the value of a? Here a means 2. That means it will be 2 into 2 to the power n. Now this is causal or non-causal. Now you have a circle having radius 2. Now check, this is the having radius 2, this outermost one. Now your given ROC is interior of a circle or exterior of a circle? Obviously interior of a circle. So this is a causal or non-causal? This is a non-causal sequence. If you have non-causal sequence, you have to multiply the function with minus u of minus n minus 1. That's why your function is like this. Okay, next come to the third part. Okay, so your third is again 2 is constant, z by z minus 1. That means what is the value of a? 1. That means 1 to the power n, or again you can say z by z minus 1 means only un. Now if you have one circle, that means having radius 1. Okay, you can also write this here after 2, that is 1 to the power n. You can write this. That means 2 into 1 to the power n. 2 here put 1 dot. Okay, 2 dot 1 to the power n. 2 constant, because z by z minus 1, that means the value of a is 1. That means 1 to the power n. Next, this is causal or non-causal. See, here you have a circle, that is what is the value of pole? 1. So you have this circle, this middle one. Now check, your given ROC is interior or exterior? Again ROC, given ROC is exterior of a circle having radius 1. That means again this is a causal sequence. That means you have to multiply with u of n. So 2 into 1 to the power n un, this can be here, this is a causal sequence. So you can write 1 to the power n, or you can neglect this 1 to the power n, no problem, both result is same. So this is your ultimate result for inverse Z transform. Okay, next come to the second problem. Okay, see this is your second problem. Okay, partial fraction method. Again one function is given here. First check, here multiple pole is present. That means here in the pole portion you have z minus 1 whole square. That means double pole. That means you have to use partial fraction method, but you have to modify this process where this modification is done. Okay, first this function xz is equal to this, so here just take a common z to z, that means z into z square. You can write this easily, so it will be xz by z is equal to what? Z square, z plus 1, z minus 1 whole square. Again this can be written as a variable, that is f of z. Okay, now if you apply partial fraction method, so this function can be written as a1 by first factor. That means again you have to choose some variable, so you can choose a1, a2, a3, a4, or you can choose like this a, b, c, d, etc. Okay, so here I have chosen just a1, a2, a3. So your first factor is a1 by z plus 1 plus a2 by z minus 1 plus a3 by z minus 1 whole square. That means suppose you have 3, here the maximum power is 3 for this factor, that means it will be written as like this. Next, that means you have to add one extra part, so you have to write, so it will be plus a4 a, oh sorry, I have to take this one. Okay, so neglect this part. Suppose here you have, this is cube, that means you have to take another function like this. It will be a4 and it will be z minus 1 cube, like this. Okay, so I have highest order 2, that's why a2 by z minus 1 plus a3 by z minus 1 whole square. This is your function. Now you have to check what is the value of a1, a2 and a3. For this is the rules of partial fraction. Now for this you can calculate the value of a1 or a2 or a3 here using the residue method also. How? Here the process is, overall process is partial fraction, but middle you can use the residue process. How? That means if you want to calculate the value of a1, the value of a1 will be z plus 1 upon a1. What is the factor? Z plus 1. So that's why just write down z plus 1 into f of z. F of z means this overall function. So into f of z at where you have to choose, here you have chosen that z plus 1 factor. That's why what is the value of z? That means if you put z plus 1 is equal to 0, then what is the value of pole? What is the value? Z is equal to minus 1. That's why just write down z is equal to minus 1. Okay, now if you calculate this function, you will get a1 is equal to 1 by 4. Now after a1 I will calculate the highest order value. Here highest order value is attached to it a3 variable. That's why here I have chosen a3 first. Okay, now what is a3? a3 will be what? Upon a3, what is the factor? Z minus 1 whole square. So just write down z minus 1 whole square. This is the function into f of z. F of z means what? Here again f of z means this overall function. So write down this overall function at z is equal to what? Here your function is z minus 1 whole square. That means what is the value of pole? Z is equal to 1. So write down z is equal to 1. Now in this process, if you put this value and calculate this, your value of a3 will be what? 1 by 2. Next a2. Now what is the value of a2? Your a2 will be just like residue problem, 1 by factorial highest order minus 1. What is the highest order for this factor? 2. That's why 2 minus 1. ddz. That means this differentiation will be one time. That means suppose you have highest order 3. That means you have to write down here ddz square. That means if you, again I am saying, if you have third order function, then here you have to put double derivative. That means d square dz square. As because you have second order problem, that means one derivation. Okay, that's why ddz of, again the same pattern. That means first choose the factor. The factor is z minus 1 whole square, not z minus 1. Okay, so z minus 1 whole square into f of z at z is equal to 1. In this process, if you calculate the value, after that you have to perform one differentiation. So you will get a2 is equal to what? a2 is equal to 3 by 4. Okay, now put the value, that is f of z is equal to xz by z is equal to, just put down this. Okay, Now again multiply this z at the numerator part. So you will get xz is equal to 1 by 4 dot z by z plus 1 plus 3 by 4 constant z by z minus 1 plus half z by z minus 1 square. Okay. Now what is the xn? Now see here, first check what is the ROC given. Here no ROC is given, but read the question carefully. Here the question is, using partial fraction method, find the causal signal xn. That means here ROC is not given, but in the question it is assumed that the function is causal. That means always you have to multiply un after inverse z transform. That means you don't require minus u of minus n minus 1. Okay. So causal sequence means you have to multiply with un. Now first part, that means you don't need to check the ROC because all are causal. So all the part you have to multiply with un. Okay. Now here 1 by 4 is constant. So z by z plus 1. So this function is similar to what? Z by z minus 1. Okay, z by z minus 1. But here you have, if z by z minus 1, that means un, that means again you can say this function again can be written as, in the previous problem I have shown you z by z minus 1 means what? 1 to the power n. But if you have z by z plus 1, so it will be minus 1 whole to the power n. Okay. Now you have z by z plus 1, that means your function will be minus 1 whole to the power n. As because this is a causal, so multiply with un. Next part, 3 by 4 constant, z by z minus 1, that means it will be 1 to the power n. So you can write this 1 to the power n, or you can neglect this, no problem. But you have to write down un because z transform of un is z by z minus 1. So this part, next part, 1 by 2 again constant, then z by z minus 1 whole square. What is the function? That means it is what? Here what is the value of a? 1. Okay. What is the value of a? 1. Now z by z minus 1 whole square. See, n into un. If you perform z transform of n into un, your result is z by z minus 1 whole square. That means if I know that z transform of n into un is equal to z by z minus 1 whole square, then I can easily put down this half, this is a constant part, n into un. So this is all about the result of inverse z transform using partial fraction method. And again I am saying, if you remember this chart, so your inverse z transform process is quite easier. So in this lecture I have discussed about partial fraction method, and in my previous lecture I have discussed about residue method, both for multiple pole and for normal pole. Also to perform inverse Z transform, there is another method which is known as long division method. In long division method you have to use the division method. So you can check this long division method from any book. I think all of you have Ramesh Babu for the digital signal processing. So you check this from that, because this long division method is not so much important, but this process is very easy, but this is a lengthy process. So you can go through this from your book itself, or if you find any difficulty or you cannot understand that properly, so let me know, then I will describe the long division method. Otherwise I will not describe this, because this long division method is not so much important. So you practice this partial fraction method and residue method both for normal pole, that means single pole, and for multiple pole. Okay, because these two are very very important. Okay, now student, you yourself try this two process. Okay.